Hello, and welcome to Poems You Need, where two poets who believe in the transformative power of language share the poems that sustain and inspire us.
I am Kelly Russell Agodon,
And I'm Melissa Studdard.
and today we're reading poems by Luisa A. Igloria. And I'm going to begin with the poem I chose. And I chose this poem because it begins with a bit of humor, but then the tone changes. It's called Who Was Your First Love? Who was your first love? A first grader asks the Buddha in an informal Q&A at the elementary school where he is making a visit. The homeroom teacher turns to admonish this foolishness, and a ripple of laughter goes through the audience. But the Buddha raises his hand gently and smiles at the boy. The question has brought him back, not to the day of his betrothal, nor even to his wedding, but to a brief moment one morning. After long illness and sleepless nights fraught with care and worry, how he and his love held each other in the middle of the room, not raked by tumultuous desire, not grasping, eyes speaking, just breathing. Who was the first to break the silence, to say, "May we be blessed to live longer with each other"? For everything is a gift, he says to the gathering. The first Phoebe of spring, a torn strip of clothing that reddens the branch on which it has caught. The face light etches on a plate of metal looking back at you at last, as if it has traveled an eternity just to give you this greeting, this welcome.
Beautiful poem. And it opened with this really bold question from this child, which was kind of funny. But then the Buddha honors the question and it just elevates it.
So here's this spiritual figure, and they're answering the question of a child, but to offer that deep listening, which I think is what poets do.
I don't feel like you notice it, or I didn't notice it the first time I read it because I was just along for the ride. And then I went back, I was like, wait a minute, the Buddha is visiting the school classroom.
Wait, it's the Buddha.
It's the Buddha.
It's the Buddha answering.
And the answer also makes you think about how the things that when you look back on like the really good times, a lot of times those are just hanging out with family or, it's not always the vacation or the this or that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the real moments in life. And the other thing I really loved about this poem was how, it there's those poems like Naomi Shihab Nye with Valentine for Earnest Man that begin with a child asking a question. And I love this because they're at that beginner's mind, which we sometimes lose as poets. So they kind of bring us back.
That's such a good point, and that makes me think also that that would be a really good prompt for a
Yeah.
poem, right? Is just like something unexpected that a kid asked you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the poem I chose is called "Tell Me About the Future," and I loved the way this poem just insisted on hope as necessary. Yeah. Tell me about the future. Tell me about the future without telling me it's impossible. Tell me about the soft green that emerges in between burned roots and branches, and of the slow sorting of stones, the choosing of what withstood the worst. Tell of the even slower return of movement in the outer reaches of air, in hollows opening again to rainwater, patient colonies of dinosaur shrimp harboring their cysts, red bark beetles flat as guitar picks coming out of dehydration. At the very bottom of the Antarctic Sea, glass sponges undulate, though they might not even remember when they last ate 15,000 years ago.
So the beginning, tell me about soft green that emerges between roots and branches. And she's really saying, like, I'm telling you about a wildfire without telling you it's a wildfire.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's such a smart technique because, I even know myself, like, how many times I say the word wildfire in poems because it happens in the Northwest.
Yeah.
But that idea of I was given the information without the word, so I was actually given the image. I was
Right.
given the
Right.
moment where the green comes up.
Yeah.
And I just thought she did such a good job on that, and then the tell me and how that opened up the poem.
That's like so that technique is anaphora
Yeah.
or anaphora? How do
Yeah.
you say it?
I say an afra,
Anaphora, okay, so
but no
anaphora.
problem. But I'm dyslexic, and I'm always mispronouncing
No, no,
words.
no, I think that's right. As soon as I said anaphora, I was like, "No, it's anaphora." That was a Texas pronunciation.
Anaphora is my
Anaphora.
favorite movie.
Anyway, yeah, so that technique of tell me, tell me, tell me, and actually it creates a sort of undulation, doesn't it, to like
Yeah.
what's going on with the ocean itself, and it's just very beautiful lyrical approach. And I also really appreciated the sense of scale and time. I mean,
Mhm.
15,000 years ago, like
Yeah.
that just really puts things into a whole different, like it's almost hard to conceive of 15,000 years.
Right, she's, like, compressing time here.
Yeah.
Like, this is the science and now I'm visualizing instead of an encyclopedia, like a little mason jar with all these things happening at once, like, the how time is happening all at
Yeah.
once. I don't know, it's just beautiful.
Well, and I think, like, what you said about that cataloging also, like, what's interesting about the fact that the cataloging is such vivid imagery and also the
Mhm.
scientific terms, makes it feel like at the same time as it feels, like, interesting and informative, it also, like it's like a sense of wonder, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just imagining these things that we don't normally see at the bottom of the sea or, throughout like long, long, swaths of
Mhm.
time. And then, I mean, we just have to acknowledge this image of the guitar picks, the Beatles flat as guitar picks
Yes.
coming out of dehydration. I mean, that is just
It
amazing.
is such a visual poem, and it was interesting because you had said about, the hopefulness of it, and, I just had this it's like a conversation between devastation and possibility,
Yeah.
and I think that's the hopefulness because she didn't start out with the wildfire, she started off with the soft green,
Yeah,
so it leans into the positive.
it's so true, and it's like she's insisting on that, like, she's saying, "Imagine this," like, what we imagine is important, so why should we imagine the worst? Why don't we imagine the best? Why don't we think about these other successes of these other
Yeah.
creatures? And
It's very human for us to do that, I mean, but we neither is real, like, the future is not happened, and yet the worst hasn't happened and the best hasn't happened, so if you're gonna
Mhm.
think of one, maybe think of the soft green that emerges.
Yes, yes, and, the last thing I really wanna say about this poem is also just that, it would be easy to write a naively hopeful poem,
Yeah.
but to write a poem in the context of disaster that is hopeful like this
Right.
is that's what people need right now, going back to the idea of poems you need, because I think if something comes across as maybe too naive or something, people will just be like, "Oh, this person has no idea what's going on now."
Right, right.
But because this poem acknowledges and addresses these things, it feels really comforting.
It's comforting, because it's the complexity of it. You're not
Mhm.
being, like, spoon-fed a beautiful world in this
Right,
poem. You're getting all of it, and Luisa
right.
does a great job in both of these poems in showing them.
And I like it that both of the poems do have this huge sense of expansiveness in terms of time because
Yeah,
here it's,
you're right.
yeah, it's like historical and geographical and all of that. But then with the Buddha, it's the same. It's like everything's like this one moment that is the memory is eternal. Yeah.
Exactly, that's a beautiful thing to say. Maybe we should end on that.
Sounds good.
Alright.
Okay.
Thanks, Louisa.
Yes. Thanks for these beautiful poems.
Thank you for celebrating poetry with us today. Information about the poet and works featured can be found on the episode page. And if you enjoyed today's readings, please press the like button and subscribe so not to miss another poem. You can also share the episode with a friend, and we hope you do. Until next time, we wish you beauty, inspiration, and very meaningful days. May you always have the poems you need.